Welcome to the 4th Random DOS Game Show Top 25, where I select my favourite 25 games from the previous 100 I've played. Number 25, our Comedian Dynasty. Why so low? Well, I kind of accidentally forgot about it. Sorry. This 25 spot could have had several games in it, but for this title, with the likes of Battle Chess, Virtual Pool, Hover Tank, Dragon Sphere and Cyberpunk all floating around that number. Speaking of floating around, this is a post-apocalyptic submarine space sim, except it plays like a cross between Wing Commander and TIE Fighter. Yes please! You're a disgraced mercenary who failed his last job and has to set about rectifying things. In a 3D accelerated underwater environment you jet about from mission to mission and shoot things that disagree with you. It's absolutely wonderful and great care has been taken in the design and writing behind this game to ensure that it would appeal to fans of space sims like me. Number 24, Comanche. The voxel landscapes and complete disregard for the more complex aspects of flight sims are what sold Comanche to me. You're in this awesome helicopter and have to go and destroy things. Comanche is a lot of fun and was an important technological milestone in the flight sim world. Number 23, Castles. You're put in charge of the construction and management and maintenance of a castle and its populace. You must build and design said castle, defend it from invasion, and balance your economy in real time. It's an entertaining strategy title with a sensible learning curve and intuitive menu system, all back to the tunes of an excellent MT32 soundtrack from famous video game composer David Govett. While much more simplistic than its rivals, the entertainingly written multiple choice sections and overall quality do just enough to edge it onto this list. Number 22, Tempus 2000. A fast-paced and furious grid-based game where you have a surface that you navigate across incrementally with arrow keys while shooting baddies coming your way. The original got the Minter makeover with updated graphics and multimedia, and it's a very slick arcade experience. Easy to learn, difficult to master, and with multiple game modes that will keep your fingers twitching until the arthritis kicks in. Number 21, Screamer. Screamer is an excellent, fast-paced romp through incredibly detailed 3D tracks that scream good design. With a thumping rock soundtrack and buckets of 90s attitude, you'll be burning rubber through a multitude of tracks with championships and time trials and multiple difficulties to battle against, and its AI isn't afraid to shunt you into the barricades if you get too cocky. Number 20. Alien Legacy. The designer of 80s classic Starflight provides us with an intriguing real-time and turn-based hybrid game of strategy and adventure. The wildly underrated Alien Legacy has you building colonies far from Earth, hunting for resources that can be decidedly scarce if you don't luck out. You must research alien technologies and develop your worlds in a 4X environment, all to the backdrop of the game's predetermined world story full of conflict and intrigue. With fully voiced characters lending a hand as your personnel, this epic is well worth a look for fans of a good strategy game backed by a quality science fiction narrative. Number 19, Darklands. Ever wanted to go back in time to the Holy Roman Empire of the 15th century and march around with a group of friends accusing people of heresy and being carried off to be eaten by giant spiders? No? Why ever not? If you'd rather limit the experience to your computer, then Darklands is for you. A stat-heavy, brutal, classic old-school RPG that sports real-time with pause tactical combat and permadeath for any party member stupid enough to get themselves well and truly killed. One minute you'll be playing a choose-your-own-adventure minigame in a sprawling city, the next you'll be carved up by bandits or assaulted by monsters. But for a select group of fanatics, this Germanic masterpiece is like a fine draught of wine. Number 18, Chasm. A blend of early 90s and late 90s shooters complete with a suitable amount of jank. While there is a plot and there are level objectives and even voice acting, you only need a cursory glance at your briefings before sprinting about like a roided up madman and blowing limbs and heads off monsters with maniacal glee. Number 17, Extreme Assault. What looks like a helicopter sim at first is anything but. It does not ask for the player to think or question, simply to follow orders, which mostly consists of blowing stuff up in a tricked out futuristic helicopter or giant tank. This is a glide game and uses all kinds of 3D acceleration and MMX trickery to provide a smooth experience. Coupled with an entertaining destruction model and good controls, you've got 3/4 of an absolute classic here. Number 16. Pushover. Pushover takes the timed puzzle elements of Lemmings and applies them to dominoes. Your GI ant protagonist is tasked with toppling all the dominoes before the timer runs out, and there are 100 block pushing levels of fun. Number 15. The Lost Vikings. Silicon and Synapse's charming puzzle platformer has smooth controls, bright and colourful pixel art, and plenty of body-swapping, head-scratching levels to plough through. Each Viking has a unique ability, and they banter among themselves repeatedly, much to the amusement of the player. Number 14. Alter Ego. Alter Ego throws multiple psychological questions at you to determine who you are, and then allows you to live out an in-game life of question and answer, choice and consequence. You're presented with a multitudinous number of questions as you pass through various milestones. So if you don't need swanky graphics and enjoy a bit of amateur psychology and societal expectations straight out of the 80s, then Alter Ego makes for a substantive and interesting play that's almost unique in the DOS gaming landscape. Number 13. The Oregon Trail. What is it? Well, you have to make a perilous journey with your wagons through the United States as a pioneer in the 19th century, and you'll be tasked with hunting food, fixing your wagon, trading with folks, and generally trying to survive. And it's definitely worth your time to investigate it. And who knows, you might just receive an education in the process. Number 12. Sink or Swim. You are Kevin Codner, and you must save dim passengers from drowning or otherwise killing themselves in a sinking ship. You do this by leading them to safety through perilous levels and rising waters, navigating dangerous elements and hazardous environments both for you and your hapless, panicky passengers. But the charming soundtrack, vivid pixel graphics, and floaty but never frustrating platforming elements meant that I had a good time. Number 11. Golden Axe. One of the early pioneers of a hack-and-slash beat-em-up genre in the 80s. Golden Axe is a super side-scrolling fantasy romp. You walk or charge forward and kill almost anything that moves. You cast magic that damages everyone on screen, and you can use mounts and special attacks to dispatch your increasingly difficult opposition. And while dated by modern standards, the combat is still a blast, so long as you make sure to select the dwarf. Number 10. Chex Quest. Chex Quest is an advertisement game and a 5-level total conversion of Doom that plays almost exactly the same as the original game. Where it differs from Doom is that it's family friendly in its approach to gaming, with the mighty Chex warrior landing on Bezoik and taking on the evil Flemoids by teleporting them all back from where they came, using a variety of Zorch weapons. Chex Quest Free for ZDoom can be downloaded for nothing, and that's the one you should be playing. All 3 episodes of Flemoid flaying fury in glorious widescreen. Number 9. Strife. A proto-immersive sim set in a post-apocalyptic future, where armed government forces have taken control after a deadly virus. You have all your usual hallmarks for this sort of game: a detailed story, murky grey ambiguity of morals, NPCs in city spaces, the propensity to die if you're not careful. The difference between Strife and the likes of Deus Ex is that the former is built on the Doom engine. An absolutely ludicrous idea for a game of this type. So become a contractor, take up quests for various interested parties, and see if you're the sort of person that can get things done. Number 8. The Legend of Kyra. You are Brandon, a dim-witted protagonist chosen one in the land of Kyrandia. An evil jester called Malcolm has broken free of his imprisonment and turned lots of people to stone, including your grandfather, Kalak. Taking this personally, you set off on an adventure to destroy the jester by uncovering your true power. It's all very generic high fantasy, but within lies a quality point-and-click adventure title, backed by solid voice acting and a fantastic Frank Klepacki score. The world Westwood created while in their pomp seeps from every fantastic pixel. Number 7. Warcraft. You play as either the orcs or the humans through a 15-mission campaign of fantasy RTS goodness. The controls are clunky and many of the modern conveniences are missing, but the undeniable charm of the Blizzard design team shines through in the art and levels. This RTS might be long in the tooth by today's standards, but there's still plenty of fun to be had in the Kingdom of Azeroth. Number 6. Might and Magic 2. A first-person party-based RPG full of whimsy, wonder and all the best 80s RPG tropes you can find, as your party grows from a bunch of no-hopers to deity-level powers of strength that literally makes your opposition flee in terror. It's both wildly underrated and totally unsuitable for most DOS gamers, but should you have an interest in this specific type of game, then you're missing out by not giving it a try. Number 5. The Last Express. It's 1914, you're wanted by the law, and you've just jumped from a motorcycle in Paris onto the Orient Express. Now you're going to have to find a way to get past the ticket-inspecting conductors that litter the train, possibly by robbing a murdered corpse and dumping it out of the train window. This is The Last Express, a real-time point-and-click adventure game set on an old steam train. You go from carriage to carriage and cabin to cabin, overhearing all kinds of intriguing conversations as you piece together just what's going on and how deadly the stakes are in your unfortunate choice to fill a dead man's shoes. Can you evade the police on your tail? Can you convincingly impersonate this deceased doppelganger for the entire journey? Or will the inevitable passage of real time become your greatest enemy? Number 4. Quake. A super fast and fully 3D tactical slaughterfest of a game that rewarded skill and using the right weapon for the job. With John Carmack working his usual wizardry on the engine and John Romero on level design, it was obvious that this was going to be legendary. Except that id went one further and invited a fan to work on the sound and music. Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails fame at the absolute peak of his powers. The resulting cacophony meant that Quake oozed atmosphere like no other shooter had before it, and signalled the dawn of a bold new age in the genre. And it just got remastered, a must-play for any self-respecting fan of first-person shooters. Number 3. Tyrion 2000. Tyrion is the best top-down shooter ever. The excellent pixel art and forgiving mechanics give it a timeless feel. It has a glorious soundtrack, satisfying sound effects, and everything just feels right. It even has a plot, and it's up to you to fly and shoot things, upgrade your craft, read the extensive plot in the form of data cubes, and then shoot even more things. Number 2. Ultima VII. We're closing in on 30 years since Lord British and his team at Origin Systems graced us with an epic that is still regarded as one of the best games of all time. A sprawling enormous world with multiple games worth of lore permeating it in Britannia. This was the apex of the long-running Ultima series. An open-world RPG where you could seemingly interact with anything, be anyone, and do anything you please, though not without consequences soon knocking on your door. Britannia is a world you can inhabit, with brilliant ye olde English writing, and a campaign that lasts for hundreds of hours if you want it to. With the Exalt source port lovingly recreating the game in HD, there's never been a better time to lose yourself in this masterwork. Number 1. Theme Hospital. Bullthrog at their comedic best. Theme Hospital is a real-time hospital management simulator, where you're tasked with building and furnishing hospitals before their opening date, and staffing said hospitals before a slew of patients appear in desperate need of treatment. Despite the heavy subject matter, everything is kept light and cartoonish, with the illnesses fictional and the presentation bright and colourful. You have a series of goals to reach in order to make it to the next level. The soundtrack is stellar, the audio impeccable, as patients and staff alike mill around in the chaos and your targets grow ever nearer. Whether it's dealing with emergencies, entertaining VIPs, or simply preventing the floors from being covered in rats, garbage and vomit, there's always something to be doing. Okay, so maybe that wasn't the most enticing description of this seminal strategy game, but it's brilliant, and you have to play it for yourself to discover just how timeless it is. Theme Hospital, the cure for the common DOS game.